Hi everyone, RabbiYoniKatz back at it. I hope everyone had an amazing shvus, because boy, did I have an uplifting and inspirational shvus here at the Boca Raton Synagogue. And I think the highlight was at 3 o'clock in the morning shvus night, going to a shir with Rabbi Efrem Goldberg that was given to teenagers. And the rabbi had given the talk several other times as well, speaking about Hashem and speaking about as that relates to artificial intelligence. Obviously, you can't have a real relationship with artificial intelligence, which is all the rage now. And the topic seems to be on every news site about the danger of artificial intelligence. And the rabbi spoke so beautifully, and it was music to my ears. And yesterday, at the end of the Parsha Shir, Rabbi Goldberg brought up the topic. So I'm going to fast forward all the way to the end. The Rabbi Goldberg speaking about Birchas Koyanim, how it has to be done with love. And actually, as soon as the class was over, my parents called me because they attend the Parsha Shir weekly on Tuesday mornings. And they said, Rabbi Goldberg spoke about it. So here we go. Let's hit the video. And then I'm going to use another video to sort of hammer a point home. So let me know what you think. Please email me, RabbiYoniKatz@gmail.com, with any questions, comments, or feedback.
And humility. And the person who's giving it is also representing Hashem. B'kol Ram, the Yerushalmi says, B'kolo shel Ram, with the voice of the most exalted. Shakadosh Baruch Hu mishtamea kolo imayim. Hashem mixes his voice in with the Kohanim. When they give their bracha, Hashem is blessing with them. And maybe that's the reason, Noah Genakon Levarchas Hatzibur, Kishem Omdim Liad Aron Kodesh. L'ramez al inyan zeh, Shakadosh Baruch Hu shochin yitam, Hashem is dwelling with them and giving the bracha with them from that platform.
So I'm a Kohen myself. Obviously, I've been doing my whole life. And I actually never knew why you stand right next to the Aron Kodesh. And obviously hearing this, that Hashem joins in with you, very personal, very real. And this is the kicker. Here it comes.
I wanted to get to, maybe we'll end with this, a beautiful... We spoke on Shavuos. It's been a big talk lately in our shul and elsewhere. Does Hashem need us? Does he need our mitzvos? Does Hashem need us?
Yes, it has been a huge topic, as many of you watching right now obviously know as well. And did you catch that long, pregnant pause? It was very contemplative. He knows as he's speaking that he's going into sort of a different realm. At least that's the way I see it and what I picked up.
If omnipotent, infinite, perfect, all-knowing, he has no needs. To need is to mean you lack. If you lack, you're not perfect and omnipotent, omniscient. So we spoke about Hashem chooses to need us. He's not like AI or a robot. He's not an algorithm or programmed or coded. Hashem chooses to need us. He gets a nachas ruach from us. And we went through many, many, many sources. So here, the Gemara Sota says, how do you know HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants, needs the Birchas Kohanim? Rashi, Tala Akasav Hadavar Ban Leos Bracha Zusimas Shmuel Amo, Velo Asa Tzorach Yisrael, Ella Tzorach Makom. Rashi on the Gemara Sota Lamed Ches on our Parsha.
So he said, Rashi. He's saying, look, for all the negative pushback and feedback that I've gotten over the years, and everyone says, where does it say it? Where's the source? Right here, in Gemara Soita, Daf Lamed Ches, I think he said, Tzorach Hamakom. Actually even uses the word Tzorach, clear as day. And he highlights that. Okay, let's move on.
It's not Tzorach Yisrael. The Birchas Kohanim is not satisfying a need that we have, though we need and desperately want those brachas. Rather, it's a Tzorach Makom. How could you talk about Tzorach Makom? Hashem has needs. There's so much to say, but we're out of time. What need does Hashem have? He needs how does it help him? Birchas Kohanim helps him. It's a need that he has. How does it help him? What is it, his need? Next year, Parshas Naso. We'll pick up over here in Mitzvah Hashem. Till next time, stay happy, stay healthy, stay holy.
And the amazing thing is right behind him on top of the Aron Kodesh, in big it says, Ivdu es Hashem, serve God. Ivdu es Hashem besimcha, serve God happily. So this is not just one little, minor point in Judaism about, does God need our mitzvahs? Does God want our mitzvahs? Does it have an effect on him? This is everything. And this is the most fundamental point of everything. And I was thinking actually on Shavuos, like you always say, Ivdu es Hashem b'simcha, serve God happily. Then you take it a notch up and says, Ivdu es Hashem, once you realize you're serving God, this is sort of like a recipe. Once you realize that every detail, every halacha actually matters to him and is important to him, essentially not on a lower level, then you're b'simcha, you're happy because you've taken the focus off yourself and you put the focus where it should be on God. Because if you put the focus on yourself, you're like, am I good enough? Did I sin? Is he going to get me? You're like finding your way out of a paper bag. But then you could even take up to a higher level or a deeper level. Ivdu es Hashem, when you serve God, b'simcha, God is the happiest of all because he has you, he has the relationship with you, he has the mitzvah, he has the purpose for creation of the world. So it's going on his simcha, obviously, as well. We're partners in creation. Now, at the end of the class that the Rabbi gave Tuesday, what night was it? Whatever, the night of Shavuos. And he said, well, of course, this is all because God chose to need. Meaning, it still seems like a little impersonal, distant. So I went over and I started discussing, and there was some fellow Lubavitchers that were sitting next to me, and the teenagers were standing around the podium. And I asked a very simple question. Could God have chosen not to need? Like he decided to need, and now once he needs, it's important. So we started talking about what that means because it seems like it's optional and impersonal. Now, once he chose, so the first, I think, mistake that a lot of people make in this discussion is there's no time at that point, obviously. Before, we're talking about way before the world was created, before time was created. So there's no once he chose, now he needs. There's no time. So how close is his choice? And why do we even use that word? Because it makes it sound like, he chose and he could not have chosen. And of course, the very basic question is in the beginning, Einod Movade, there's nothing but him. So what is there to choose? Forget why did he choose or could he have chosen? There was nothing to choose. Einod Movade, Efezulase, just him. So where's this choice coming from? So obviously, if he chose, it's him choosing. So it just makes it even deeper. It's coming from him, nothing outside of him. And it reminded me of a clip that I made several years ago in our Uncomfortable series that we produced in Crown Heights with Rabbi Freeman. And he speaks directly to this point. This is magical. And I think this will really clarify the topic, and especially as it relates at the end to Purim. So here we go. Let's add Rabbi Friedman.
The Eibishter's Bechira. He chose us. We have to understand why would he use such a word? It's not a compliment, it seems. It's like saying, you're all the same, and I had to make a choice from all this selection of nations, and I chose you. It's not a compliment. And also, what says he chose? He chose us. A Jew is a Jew, not by choice. A Jew is a Jew. So if you want to have Jewish people, who are you going to talk to? To the Jewish people. What are you choosing? Where's the Bechira? Even the story in the Medrash that the Eibishter offered the Torah to all the nations. What's that mean?
They didn't want it.
No, what does it mean? The Eibishter comes, let's say, to the Russians and says, you want a Torah? And they open it up. What does it say in Torah? Daber el b'nei Yisrael, Emer el b'nei Yisrael. Why are you giving this to us? We're not the b'nei Yisrael. So it's almost like the Eibishter wrote a book about Yidden and asked Goyim if they want it. Why should they want it?
They shouldn't have tinus if once the Hashem gave it to us.
But what was the offer?
This is why I just love, like, I heard this story my whole life. You know, Hashem went to different nations and offered, and they said, what does it say? Don't murder. And they rejected it. And this one said, but I never looked at it, you know, from a very klutz kasha point of view. Like, how are you offering another nation? The whole Torah says, Darol b'nei Yisrael. And then obviously the answer that's given, that someone just says, you know, he just wanted to, you know, sort of, you know, go through the motions so they can't have tinus, they can't have complaints later. Like, you didn't offer it to us. But he's saying, what was the offer in the first place?
What's the shires? In other words, just like Goyim didn't really have the bechira to take Torah or not take Torah. There's no bechira there. Yidden have no bechira. You want to be a Jew. I said you want to be a Jew. A Jew is a Jew. So why does the Eibush they choose Yidden? Choose us for what? To be Yidden? We can't choose to be Yidden. Bechira means not I could have chosen somebody else. That's not a compliment. There was a contest and you came out ahead. Listen, Bechira doesn't mean I could have chosen somebody else. Bechira, ata bechartanu means even if there was no reason and we weren't smarter, and we weren't better, and we weren't nicer, and we weren't Einiklach of Avram Avinu, he would still choose us. Bechira means l'mayla metam v'das. If you're smarter than the other one, then there's no bechira. What am I going to pick a stupid one? There's no bechira. You want an apple, and there are two apples on the table. So you pick one. What says you pick one? One of them looks rotten. One of them looks old. And the other one looks fresh. So you have bechira. There's no bechira. Of course you're going to choose the right.
Maybe that's why mitzvahs are sometimes come across as harder to make the choice.
Doesn't make sense. You don't see. But another thing. If you have two apples and you only need one, so you pick. Bechira, yeah? If one apple is a little bit closer than the other, you have no bechira. Because of course you're going to pick the closer one. In other words, if I have a good reason to choose one over the other, I'm not choosing. The reason tells me to do it.
So the reason that we know that mitzvahs are from Hashem and that Hashem created us, that takes away our bechira when we chose to live a life of godliness, a life of mitzvah.
If it were obvious that the mitzvah is better than the avera, then there would be no bechira. There would be just seichel. The Mishnah says, "Consider schar avera keneged hefseda." That's not bechira. If you realize you're putting in too much money and you're going to lose your investment, it's not a bechira anymore. So seichel makes the decision for you. It doesn't let you choose. So when do you choose? When al pi seichel there's no reason. One is not better than the other. One is not even closer than the other. So why did you pick this one? That's called bechira. So ata bechartanu means we are more precious to the Eibishter than a son to a father. Because sometimes we say...
So just to back up for a second, so obviously the point that he's trying to make is there's you, and then obviously there's the seichel, the logic, which is not essentially part of you. That's already in the world of logic and, you know, what makes sense and deduction. So when Hashem chose the Yidden, Hashem chose the Jews, it wasn't like, oh, there was a good reason, because then he wouldn't be choosing. Something's influencing him. Something's compelling him. Something and not someone. So true free choice means we are connected. You are mine and I am yours. Not because it's based on reason, because this is the fact of the matter. Our essences are creating. Because if I'm choosing you based on a good reason, then am I choosing, or is something about you making me choose? Am I being influenced? So true free choice means you're free from having to think and make a choice. Like it says in Tanya that when a Jew is possibly, being put to death because they're not going to bow down to an idol, even the Kal Shabbakalmi, even somebody on a very low level will still do it because their true essence comes out. They're not dealing with the logic at that point. They're going to who they truly are, essentially means you're free from having to think about it. So free choice means I'm free from having to make a choice where my true essence comes out when it's not being influenced by anything. Of course, in the human experience, from the moment we're born or even before then, we're constantly being influenced and bombarded by a million different influences.
A father loves his son even if the son is bad. So that sounds like unconditional. Yeah, but there's one big condition. You got to be my son. If you're not my son, I don't love you even if you're nice. You're not mine. So a father and a son, although there's a certain kind of unconditional relationship, but that's because there's a relationship. When you say Ata b'chartanu, it means more than a father and a son. There's absolutely no Sibbe. Und von deswegen he picks us. That means that we are so close to him that even when there is no reason, there's no purpose, there's no benefit, azayidus. Ata b'chartanu. That's an amazingly deep connection that can't be explained. Even the connection of a father and son, you understand. In reverse, when we accept Torah, na'aseh v'nishma, what are we saying? We want your Torah not because it's smart and not because it's better and not because it's more beneficial and it'll do more good. We were beicher in him the way he is beicher in us. So again, bechira doesn't mean ich ken zindigen. That's not a compliment. Bechira doesn't mean ich ken sein hasheita euch. So what, you're proud of that? Bechira means I don't need a reason and I don't need to be convinced and I don't need schar and I don't need a bribe and I don't need ich bin beicher in dem Ebersten the way the Eberster is beicher in me. So bechira means an attachment without reason. If it's without reason, then the Aveda makes as much sense as the mitzvah. Emes, I don't care. I don't care. Ich bin beicher in dem Ebersten. Why? The Aveda is just as good. Yeah, it's just as good. Aber von mir ist der Eberste. That's what it means on Purim, that Chayev Inish l'besume bepuria adel lo yoda ben Baruch Mordcha or... Was ist das für a mitzvah? A mitzvah not to know the difference between Mordechai and Haman? The meaning there is Baruch Mordechai and other Haman, nicht verkehrt. Baruch Mordechai, even when I'm lo yoda. In simple language, I feel a shikir hate. Even when you're out of your mind. Aber das weißt du ja. Mordechai is Baruch, Haman is Orur. How do you know that? I can't figure it out. Aber Mordechai is Mordechai and Haman is Haman. Das heißt Bechira. Even I don't know, and you're right, the Aveda is just as good as the mitzvah. Efshe noch besser. I don't care. A mitzvah is a mitzvah, Aveda is an Aveda.
So when I first heard this clip, and arranged this class at the Levi's Library, I think for days I was like, wow, I almost couldn't sleep. Everything became clear because on one hand, the word bechira gives the wrong impression, which everyone seems to take from it. It's optional to God. But once you realize what true bechira means, like RabbiYoniKatz explains in the Sefer Machshavas Chassidus, that by God, his bechira is noiveya, it flows from his essence. Meaning, once he chooses, and that's why we use the word ata v'chartanu, it's you, like ata hares ladas, you God. We don't use HaKadosh Baruch Hu v'chartanu. No, you, it's a very personal, very direct way of speaking about someone or to someone. You and your very essence is connected to us. And what reflects that? Your choice. But it's not shot that it's optional. You could have chosen the other way. Because then you're negating everything. Well, you're not really necessary. It's only because I chose and I could have chosen otherwise. It's not optional. It's who I am essentially. And when we realize this about God, and this is obviously what Tanya and Chassidus and everything gave us a whole deeper understanding, which is not on the surface. It's a whole different appreciation for God, for a Jew, for a mitzvah. You'll want to open 4,000 Chabad houses around the world because there's a Jew, there's a mitzvah. And who's most desperate? God, because it's essentially who he is. And therefore, we can respond the same way. So if we say, you know what, I'm going to serve God because I'm going to get, great seats in Olam Haba, or I'm going to get schar. It's not you. It's you're being influenced and you're still serving yourself. Listen, there's something good for me in store. My 401k is going to get bigger and I'm going to get great seats in the world to come. Are you serving God? You're not serving anybody but yourself. So we have that capability to say, God, just like you need us essentially, and it wasn't optional, if I go to that deeper place in me, whatever you need, I can do. Am I going to get great seats? Am I going to get heaven? Am I going to get Gan? It's not about that. It's much deeper than that. It's about someone, not something. And that's Nasav and Nishma, and that's Shavuos, and that's every mitzvah in the Torah. But this is a secret, people. This is an absolute secret. Bechira means I need you more than you can imagine, and it works both ways. So let's get the message out there. As everyone can see, the wheels are coming off. The deepest secrets of Chassidus and Torah and God are just, it's rapidly flowing. And I have more videos to post. Umalar's Deis Hashem kamayim le'yamachasim. Like it says in the future, the Rambam says, Lo ya'esa kol adam ela ladas Hashem. The world is going to be obsessed with getting to know God and how essential we are and how the Jews have their mitzvahs and non-Jews that have their mitzvahs. Each of us doing our job to complete the purpose of bringing Mashiach. I hope everyone made it through the end because it's easy to get distracted. But if you understand what true Bechira is and understand what true choice means me without you can't be. And that's the greatest humility. God, master of the universe, omnipotent, omnipresent, can't be without me. Like it says, in the place that you see his greatness, you see God's humility. Master of the universe can't be without me. God, whatever you need. Nasa v'nishma. I'm here for you, and I'm here to complete the purpose of creation. I'm RabbiYoniKatz. Please let me know what you thought, and I'll try to respond and do my best. Have a great day. More clips are coming.